Onagui jitnahte dwatala gwi ga iga wahni slade doske ne ona wagahe gwi ga iga dwadli wahtanje te gwi ne chate ko selha ne na dwana haloli gwi ga iga yo sla se gwi mundu ta gwi ne lunde gasqui whisk niunule ne ganyona aze hawahni dade gwi ga iga ona anjolhane ona dwada sawa gwi ga iga ndwali wagetsko gwi ne ndwana halo ta ne gwi ga iga ne tuno ne dwatala gwi tuno ne nyuli wage ne doske gwi tonu ne nyuli wage ne ganyo agwego ne na wade sane lundegas ne no hundu ne kali wade wa kane hela duksla ona ahat kawe gwi ga iga ne na gola setsa ne ona ne gwi ga iga ne ha jahiyage ne jinu ne tehnidlu ne dio dalake gwi ga iga ne ona gwi ne huntkat hadu se hunkana te su lokweni gwi ne sagodi ni go layanda to se gwi ji na te gwi an wadli wahtandi ji na te wadli wate gwi ka ika watni slad ne gwi agwego ne na hatloli ne ji na te ne aya wane gwi swatni slats ji na te andwali waye namaste gwi ka ika ji nyoli wase adwadi wahta je du hage gwi ne chate ko selha ne chuchila to gwi lunde gas gwi ne hasa ne kanunya ge gwi awadi wahta di ne hostawa go ne kanyuniwan ne chuchila to gwi ne hundli wahta je te ne lunde gas ne lonol ha ne na hadia ta gwi ni yone ne chikaya ne lonatli hundunse chi segu yogwenyu ne wuhudli wahta jehte waga gweni gwi ne tunu ne wahadili wagetsku ne ka ika ne tsadiko selha yosla se ne lunol hagwi ne na huane hela dunse ne holi wakweko sakwaya disu ne chikaya ne lonatli hundunse ne dio gesto gwi ga iga ne lo dia nesso kaye nioli wake ne konatomi sa lo diskal hagehte gwi ga iga waskan he ne de hodili wayana wa gwi ahondli wa tajete ta ne gwi ga iga ne jojelato ne na wanyunya ta di gwi ga iga wastawa go ne ona ne digni hadun ne na wadli wahtandi ne na manyunya tandi ne nuwa ne kancho kwa ne lunde gas ne de honda dawya tu hajesse ne hasu ne de gali wayanda kwanyesse ne kwiga igal tiksa su gani todiansa lona to jakunse toniole ne ludiksto hoguha ne kwiga iga ne lunol ha sang ne na hodinakto dane gwi ka ika ne na hoti wahta jehte ne na huane hela dunse sukwaya disu ne ka ika ne hostawa go ne digni hadun ona ne na manyunya tant ne hassa hadun ne ona ne nuwa ne lauha ne na hayata gwe ni yone gwi ne sukwaya disu ne nuwa lauha ne na hetwane hela dunse ji kwa hakwe go ji na teso ne to do nahtu ne ji nahte ai wadli wahta je du hage ne wasak wattu galundi ne ai wadli wahta je du hage ne juhunja de a ne gwi ga ika ne hassa ne kanyunya ke gwi hawadli wahta di ne wahni satila ne kanyona ne na wadasawa kwe ne gwi ga ika ne chatiko selha ta ne gwi ga ika wana ne tone ona skan ho duke ona ne tunu hakwego ne chi na te su kui ne wanisla jela to ne kanyo akwe go ne na wadesa ne jela to ostowa ko ne lunde gas ne tunu ne tone ona ne no hoya di sage ka logwenyo ne ka ika ne lau hang kalipaya dakwe ne akwe go ne na haliwa kanyuse ne ji na te so hawadli wa tandi ne chi nyoli wese ne no hodie na waste gwi ka ika ne tsadiko self ona dekni hadun ne ona ne na wanyunya tant ne ona ne na wanyunya dane ona gwi ka ika ne hassa hadun ne tsade wasana lunde gas ne kalnaka ona ne hunkok ne no waya dalagos ne chikaya ne tunu ne lokweni gwi ne ona ne tho ne na hawanini gas ne gwi ka ika ne kahle jalusla ne latina dunkwa ne gwi ka ika lau hangali payanda kwe kwa hakwe gwi ji nahte ona ne tunu ne sakodi niko layanda ta se gwi ne kancho kwa ji nahte ne na hodi niko lo dahage kale gwi ji nioli wese gwi datnu hojak ne lodia ne ona ne laudio dasla gwi ne na sakodi shoslu gwi ka ika ne laudio dasla ne no honat kathaja se ji nahte gwi ne tunu ne no hodi wahtanje te ji nioli wese gwi ne na hodi e nawaste gwi ka ika ne na hadi na halo da ne gwi ka ika ne tunu ne ji nahte lunde gas ne mahnisla jela to ona ne no wadli wahtan ona gwi ka ika hona skan ho to gwi ne ji nahte wa hudli wahtanje te ne mahnisla jela to ona anchol hane ona dekni hadun ne ona gwi ka ika ne nuwa ne tunu ne chi nyole ona gwi ka ika ne haliwan hodongo ne na kwala setsa ne ona ne ganyo ne na hasan ne gwi ka ika ne na hajahi yage ne nuwa ona ne na galipaya ndakwe chi nahte sagodi niko layanda tasegwi ne ona ne kancho kwa da ne gwi ka ika ne lunde gas ne nuwa ka ika ne tunu ne chujila to ona ne na hamani saade ne ka ika ne dignia dun ne wahni slad ne nya town jigwi ne dwanu sahalagwa ne gwi ka ika ne tsa de wasana gwi ne na hadit lundake ne ona ne ladi gwaho ena gwa ne gwi ka ika ne na hadit lundake kale ka ne no gwa ne na hadit lundake ne dio dalake ne ona ne ladinya ta ona ne ladi skle wage da ne gwi ka ika ne tunu ne nyuli wage ne no gwi an dwasle ne ji na tes ne ni gwa dalo da se gwi ka ika ona ne tunu ne gwi ne swajela toni yot ojak ne yakwi ne de hodinu te nahte ne ni hodi dalo da se gwi swajela ona gwi sokodi ni ko layanda da se gwi ka ika kanyona ne tunu ne na yawane ona hundawya te hojak swajela oya ne hona honjo da se ona ne tunu ne wayukia dalhase ne swajela gwi ne lodi no te nahte so gwi ne ni hodi dalo da se gwi ka ika swajela ne de gyatiha ne ji nahte ne ni wa dalo da se nokchi ne gwi ka ika lunde gas ne ji kaya ne lo na chistanun ne lo no ha gwi ka ika ne na sagodia dalagwas se gwi ka ika ne tunu ne na hadi londage ne ji no gwi ka ika ne ona ne lo na tahayuniso ne la digwaho da ne gwi ka ika ona ne ji nahte dekni hadung ne na watli wa tandi ne ka ika ne da dwana halo ne ka ika lunde gas gwi ka ika ne da dwa ga lawali ne gwi ka ika ne tunu ne ji nahte ne agwe go ona ne da dwa wani sade ji nahte andwanu tunyongo kwa hakwe go ji nahte ne tholot ka hlad ne ji honjade ji no hingwa sita gasla kwa tunu gwi ka ika gwe go ase ne na dwaduni ne ase ne na yunya to hage ne chi nahte nen hase nen yoslas da ne guiga ika ne tuno ne chi nahte ne guiga ika ne dwa ga lawali ne dwa na haloli guiga ika degni hadun da ne chichila to ya tamji ne dwa hungali itza ne dwa hungali sage ne guiga ika lona la sits ang gahage e chichila to chikaya ne na hawani ka se college ne sayad ne ona ne na hadla na tanje te kala na do ka gwi watsta ne kanyona ne na hatin hodungo ne gwi ga ika ne na hatin halo da ne gwi ga ika gwego ona ne tunu ne na watli wahta di ne digni adun ona gwi ne na sukodi ni kuhlaya da se ne chi na te gwi watli wahta di digni adun da ne jujila te gwi ga ika chikaya lonatli hundong se ne nyale ne na hati nakto da ne gwi ga ika ne ona ne na hati ka lawali ne na hati lihwa ne gang se haka ni gwi joslat ne na wah kwada se de tsaga de gwi ne gwi hadiada lage chi nahte aedwa yungwadli wahta jade ne ona ne ganyo ne na wade sane ne lonatli hundong se ne tone kan jokko kwego ne luno ha gwi wana ne na hati nakto da ne sa gwi ga ika ne na hati ka lawali kanyo agwego hona ne na wano sok da de jalus luna kwa ne tone ona gwi ga ika ne tunu ne luno ne kwa hagwego ne lunatli hundu se ne na hatin hodu gwi ga ika hona ne chi nahte ohudli wahta jehte ne sa gwi ga ika ne na hawani sa de ne chikaya ne lukweni gwi kawini nikau ne gwi ga ika lau ha ne na hawani sa de dat nuwa Ojak de hi ate yukonya segwi ne na honda jatewe oya ne na skali wayelu nit segwi ne tuno ne na hadi nakto da ne gwi ne na hadi kahlamali nokchi ne gwi agwego ne tuno ne wahadi gwe ni gwi ne wahondli wahtanjete ona gwi ka ika ne lono ha lana la setsa ne na nin hodung gwi ka ika ne tuno wahondli wahtanjete ne gwi ga ika ne wahati ka lawali gwi ga ika ne wahati na halo da ne ona ne gwi ga ika ne tekni hadun ona ne na watli wahtandi ne tunu ne dwa ka lawali ne dwa na halo da ne chi niole gwi ga ika skan ho doke ne tekni hadun ona ne na sokoti e lakmose ne ona ne laudi chokka ne ona ne na jolhane gwi yodo honcho ne ka ika ne na kayung kon tohage hasani oli wake gwi ka ika watli wahtandi ne hasadun ne wahni slat da ne gwi ka ika ne tuno ne na sagodi ni ko layanda se ne to ne ona ne tuno ne na hadi hawanun de se gwi ne hoyung kwa kale oja gwi ka ika datnu ne lodia ne ona ne kahike ne gwi ka ika ne sa yese ne ni kahik slow da gwi ne na hati ha wihte da ne gwi ga ika kwego ne na wade ni da stage gwi ga ika ona hassa hadun ne na wadli wa da ne gwi ga ika ona ne tunu ne na wa kwego wadli wa di ne ni hadun ne wa ni sla de da ne gwi ga ika ne tunu ne ni ole gwi ga ika ne to ne dwa mani sa de chi nahte ne wa wa honjwe gwi ga ika ne wa ni sa de ona gwi ga ika ne tunu ne na kola setsa lo han gali payanda kwe ne tunu ne na squat ku layanda to se gwi ne chi nahte se gwi ne dwa mani sa de ne na komana de ni hake tunu ne nyuli kwa ge da ne tunya tak ne na wa ni go
First of all, we'd like to extend our thanks to all of you who are watching this and who are listening. Generally, when we address the people, we say that if there's any misfortune or bad luck, that we send our best thoughts to those families who are experiencing that, and there are those who are unable to be with us, and because of maybe an illness or things that have happened. So we give our best wishes to those people, and we hope that everything will be better soon, and that we'll continue to send our thoughts and our prayers to you and your families at this time. So it was asked of us to come today and explain about Satego Selha, or Midwinter. It's our ceremonies that we hold at the very beginning of our year, that we say is starting over. And we say that it's 5 sleeps after the new moon. So I'm going to ask Bob if he can explain why that is, because I know a lot of people, they ask that. They say, why 5 days?
So the understanding is that this comes through a time when a lot of our people began to kind of become sidetracked with a lot of things, and at that time. And so it's at that time they referred to that the new moon of this particular month that they would look to. And after getting preparations or getting things together for that time that they would begin to do the ceremony, they gave them 5 days or whatever to get everything ready. And once that time came, and then on that 6th day, then they would all come together and say that now they have prepared all of the things necessary that they're going to do for this ceremony of giving thanks for the new year. And so that was the opportunity to like sometimes they were maybe there were some game or animals or things that they utilize, or different other things that was needed, for that time for the ceremony, that they're going to utilize these things and make sure that they were on hand, for that time. And so that gave them that opportunity as well as to put in the practices as well for the various songs or the various things that are going to be a part of the ceremony. And so there were those allowances too, to be able to do that, to bring this all together. And then once they came to the conclusion, that in a sense to say that they are now ready to perform or to do the things it is necessary for the new year. That's what they would do. And so after that 5 days, period of time of getting everything together, then on the 6th day is then when they would do their ceremonies.
One of the things that I heard too, and I think it was Jake had talked about it, is that because our people refer to as the earth as a woman, and the moons,
Mm-hmm.
that 5 days was giving her, after that new moon, time to rest, to kind of like get her energy back,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can start again. And that was one of the things I remember hearing growing up about that particular, why it was 5 days, and because it has to do with that woman's cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and that recovery time for her to get everything, her energy back. But too, that's kind of one of the things I used to hear that Midwinter was kind of like, when we were kids, they said, well, think of it as, your mom's sleeping, and then you're hungry, you're up early Saturday morning, and they said you're giving her those little nudges to wake up and to start to get ready for that new day. So that's kind of, I guess, how as little kids, that's how we got that explained to us about that whole start of like that new day, and why this is so important. Because too, when we say that we decide, as faith keepers decide upon that day which we would come together, that they would take all of that knowledge and all of that understanding and put that together to come up with that day. And earlier too, we were talking about that we follow the moon now. But can you explain a little bit about the stars and how that was told that this is how it used to be?
Hmm. So in that time, back in the olden days, I guess before it became utilizing the phases of the moon, and so in the ancient days, I guess they would say that they were always the people who had those abilities to watch the various formations, star formations, and when they would say that the middle of the winter or midwinter, Silha, when it would be right around that time, there was these clusters of stars that they referred to as Tehuntqua. Tehuntqua is the seven dancers they referred to, and there's a story that goes behind that in regards to that had happened back in one at a time. And they say that when those stars are right in the middle of the sky at a certain time, and it was usually during this time of winter, and they would say that now is the time that the dancers are now getting ready, and for us to be also prepare ourselves to get ready to start the new year, because now they say that the days are going to become longer again, and that was like right now at that time was right at the half time where it was the days were longer, and the nights were longer and the days were shorter, and so now it's going to start coming back the other way again, and so that's what they refer to as the midwinter, and so they would go accordingly to those seven dancers that they referred to at that time, and then as time went on, we began to kind of become sidetracked by a lot of things that came about in our history. And so since that happened, um, this man, Scandalio, they say that it was through him that it was mentioned that this is now how they will begin to start to do their midwinters again, or to uh, regenerate it again to become stronger, and they would utilize the phases of the moon as they usually did for various things that they look to the moon to, and so now they'll use the moon as well at that time, and so they said 5 sleeps after the new moon, and which was usually right around that time after they would look after the 13th moon, after the 13th full moon, and so when that new moon came about, that's how they referred to it as that new moon for that year, and then they would start their ceremonies for the new year.
Do you, do, do you remember having practices for midwinter? I mean, I remember a lot of times go and gather at somebody's house and sit and go through the songs, or even go through some of the speeches and stuff, and talk about the meetings and the meanings of all of this. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. That's
As a kid?
That's as a kid. That's kind of like how I grew up, and going to different places, and that was always it was always good to sit and listen to all of those old men, and going through some of the songs, and they explain what this song means, or what's the purpose of this or that in the speeches, and why it's said this way, and so, and then like if you take the speech itself, even to try to do the basics of it, you eventually start filling it in as time goes on, and so once you start doing that, and that's that was the beginning, for you to be a part of all of the things, all of the aspects of ceremonial time, putting all of the songs and speeches and things together that would be beneficial for all of the people, once you start ceremonies.
Is I remember like when we were learning, like for example, Reggie Henry can't, when he used to teach us. He would say, "Here, I'm just going to give you this much. You need to fill in the rest," because it was about emotion. It was what we were feeling.
Yeah.
Because like I remember, different ones saying, "Well, you really got to be able to touch them people with your words. If you're going to be, if that's what you want to do, then you got to be able to reach out to them. You got to be able to help them feel what you're feeling when it comes to that part." And over the years, I mean, I remember sitting in Longos and I was like, why are they crying?
Yeah.
What's so sad about that? But it wasn't they were crying, they were sad. They were crying because it just made them so happy, because then they would explain later, well, some of those words, it's really hard to explain what that actually means, and I never really understood that. I thought, well, we have all of these words in the English language. How's that possible? But I guess, growing up and learning more, it is possible to not be able to translate some of those words in a way that you understand it.
Right.